This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Wednesday. I had to think there for a second. It's been a long week. Good evening. Welcome, Dustin. How are you, my friend? I've been trolling this stupid ass page today. I've been called a pedophile and a child molester so many different times. I actually had one of the dudes that leveled that accusation at me. I was like, "Hey, call in if you're not a coward." He's like, "I'll be there." So we'll see. We'll see. You had a headache for 48 hours? Oh my God, Dustin, I'm sorry. I don't get headaches very often. So I have friends that get like chronic migraines and shit. I feel sorry for you guys. Cause it is like the rare occasion I get a headache, it's like, God, this is horrible. Child gun arming molester. Oh, it's the same page. Same page that accused me of wanting to arm children, which I said it sarcastically, yes. In reality, I'm just mocking the insane gun policy here in the United States of America, where, once again, I don't think it's mass shooting USA, but for the second time in 3 weeks, the same college campus was locked down. Last time a grad student shot his advisor. This was on the campus of UNC Chapel Hill. Almost said UNC Charlotte. Wrong UNC. UNC Chapel Hill. Shoot up drugs, not schools. That's damn right, Tones. Also, for those of you right-wingers that may be watching this, no, I don't think kids should do drugs either. And then Chris the Skis was like, well, he'll just, anytime you call him out on something, he'll just be like, I'm a comedian. I am. I'm making jokey jokes. I don't actually believe that kids should shoot up drugs. Now, if you're given the option between shooting up drugs or shooting up schools, I think it's clear which side I fall on. I don't think they should do either, though. Oh, shit. We're going to get an update tonight on, Daniello. Fucking, I forget what his first name was. Cavalcante, the escaped inmate in Pennsylvania. He has now been caught. We've got details coming to light. Kind of sad this is going to be over. I'm sad this is going to be over, but it's wrapping up just in time for us to move to coverage of the Kohlberger. Is that his name? We haven't covered this in a little while. We're gonna do the story tonight. Brian Kohlberger, the dude that is accused of stabbing. Was it 3 or 4? 3 or 4. It was 3 young ladies and a young man, right? See, it's been a couple months. I can't remember all these details. We do so much fucking news. I can't keep up with all the details. But we're going to cover that tonight. That trial getting ready to get started. Here is your meme of the day. I reply, roasting you, exquisite in both its cleverness and savagery. And then you get a typo right in the ass. Ha 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 ha. Getting hyped for that new Spider-Man game that's coming out. Is it Spider-Man 2? Is that what it's called? Looking forward to it. I love the first Spider-Man game. Love the Miles Morales game. Cannot fucking wait. The world is wanting me to be broke. Perpetually broke. There are already several games out right now that I need to purchase. I'm just waiting for them to, go on sale and catch it at the right price. I'm going to play Far Cry 6. God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West. Those are like top of the list that I will be purchasing whenever I catch them for a nice price. Final Fantasy, the Pixel remasters. I gotta buy that one. Gotta buy some Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. Then I gotta get prepared for the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out February, I think it is. There's the Metal Gear collection coming out this fall. There's the new Spider-Man game. I would like to play Baldur's Gate 3. Holy shit. And then there's the whole I'll fuck up the joke. I'm not even gonna try to do it. The Primus Pussifer A Perfect Circle. Like in the ad, he kept calling it a complete circle, the complete circle. and Primesifer. But those are like three of my favorite. One, like Maynard James Keenan is my favorite musician of all time by far. Like I'm even wearing my Tool shirt right now. As a teenager, I mean, Tool just hit me like right at the right time. I was a Christian, and like fucking hearing Opiate blew my mind. Hearing Eulogy. I thought Eulogy was about Jesus. The lyrics seem a lot like Jesus, but apparently it's about L. Ron Hubbard. Found that out later, but it just hit me at the right time, and that's how I discovered Bill Hicks. From the opening of Third Eye on Anima, and Bill Hicks, one of my favorite comedians, such huge influences on my life. My cat's name is Maynard. Maynard James Kitten. And then I love Primus. They did the opening for my favorite TV show of all time, South Park. I've seen Primus twice. I love A Perfect Circle. Not the least favorite of my, probably the least favorite of the Maynard bands for me, but still, I've seen A Perfect Circle twice in concert. So I would really like to see, it's Pussifer, Primus, and A Perfect Circle all on stage at the same time. It's Maynard's 60th birthday celebration, but they ain't coming anywhere close to me. So if Justin wants to see it, Justin is going to have to fly out to the West Coast. I thought about, well, can I rent a car? Is it going to be cheap? It's probably cheaper to just fucking fly. I would rather rent a car. At this point in time, though, now you can get pot pretty much anywhere. So I don't have to worry about, not being able to get... But that's one of the reasons why I used to drive everywhere, was because I'm riding dirty. Take my pot with me. So that was one of the reasons why I've been so against flying in my adult life. I mentioned it the other day. I have not flown after 9/11. Flew several times before 9/11. Haven't since, because, when I went to Minnesota, you want to take my pot with me? Ida, good evening. So the problem with Bill Hicks is that there's a lot of topical jokes. So it's kind of hard to call him the GOAT because his material feels dated. For me, discovering Bill Hicks in 2000, 2001, we're in the lead up to the Iraq War. He's making the same jokes about Bush bombing Iraq. So it was perfect for me, perfect time for me to stumble across him. But because all the jokes still hit perfectly. I listen to him now, and many of them still hit. And on the video from last night, I put up the Kennedy reading the book, the genderqueer and everything. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting to hear Senator Kennedy talk about somebody penetrating him and how he wanted to suck cock. But that happened. I put that video up on YouTube, and somebody brought up the Supreme Court justice and the definition of pornography. And I told that person, I was like, go listen to Bill Hicks rip that justice a new one. That is absurd. Pornography. Warlord. Good evening, welcome. What are you what in the fucking? Are you what the fucking a typo in the ass? That is an apt meme. Anyway, the world wants me to be broke because there is a lot going on that Justin needs to participate in. Many video games, and specifically one concert. A warlord I am. I probably have less than $10 in the bank right now. For those of you who don't know, I've never really mentioned this. Like, I just gotta make money as needed. I try to do as little as possible. So, like, I worked my ass off the last week of the month to make rent and the electric payment and everything. Oh. Anyway, I'm horrible at dealing with money. Horrible. Just like the fact that, like, I'm not concerned with the monetary value of this show, how this show is going to make me money, which I should be probably if I actually want to do this. Oh, speaking of which, let me give you this. I'm horrible at plugging shit, and I do not encourage you. Don't waste your money, but don't waste your money. If you've had your eye on anything in the Freak Shop, if you think some of my designs are cool, you've got one more day to get 20% off any merch. You can go to the Freak store. It's in the description of the video. You can get content warning fuckers, right wingers, or morons. There's some good shit. So, like, give it a cruise if you want that awesome troll sweater, the ugly Christmas sweater. Get 20% off on it. Low quality? What are you talking about, Warlord? Is it? I did not like the original store I was on, and I was on Spreadshop, and I switched to Teespring. I have not had anybody give me any feedback on any of the t-shirts. The car market is insane right now. Flash, I'm sorry, my friend. My best friend, his truck broke down on him. And then he took it to the shop, was without a truck for a month or so. Gets it out, drives it for a couple of weeks, broke down on him again. So I totally understand. However, I am motivated to make some money now that there are many things that Justin needs to purchase. Including possibly going across country to see Pussifer, Primus, and A Perfect Circle. Oh, that's a tongue twister, isn't it? A friend, a country, or western song? No, I'm not. I think that joke went over my head, Dustin. Back when we were in high school, he looked like a dude that'd be singing a country western song. He used to wear nut-hugging jeans. And like cowboy hat and shit. Like, he fucking ridiculous. Battle of Possum. I hope you're lurking in here and you're hearing me talk about how ridiculous you used to look. Let me run down what we're going to be talking about real fast. We're going to go over impeachment tonight, but that's way down the list, okay? The GOP saying it is literally the biggest corruption scandal in U.S. history. A claim that is so fucking absurd. That's really the only reason we're even going to cover the story tonight, is because that claim's so fucking absurd. But it's way down the list. Honestly, I probably should have even put the Mexican aliens in front of it. we should do they're not real. They're not real, okay? If you saw something about Mexico unveiling aliens yesterday, let me tell you, they ain't real. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Florida man. Florida man has stolen. Florida man stole an excavator and crashed it into a Walmart. Oh goddamn! Did you know Ken Paxton had a mistress? Because I didn't, and apparently it is a huge part of this impeachment trial. Ted Cruz had to talk about trans. It was apparently a very contentious exchange. They had an argument about trans women in prisons. So prepare thine asses for some transphobia. Lauren Boebert. I made this meme. Nobody said anything about it in the Discord. I was so let down. Why you guys got to do that to me? DJ Dub, good evening. Boebertjuice. Cause I made the Boebert face for the art for the show tonight, and I was like, well, I might as well go full out on this and make it into a meme. Boebertjuice. You're right, Flash. I know that my father was a blaster. And he had like a ring of, the universal keys. He could pretty much go onto any job site and drive anything off. It's wild. Yoink. If you don't know what happened to Lauren Boebert, we'll play the video, and I actually have Sparkles had some commentary on it. We're gonna have to read what she wrote. I'm gonna let you hear her description of what we're getting ready to see before we actually see it. The Energy Secretary. Apparently, this is hilarious. The Secretary of Energy apparently had somebody in a gas-powered car blocking an EV charging station. They had the cops a family called the cops on them for blocking the EV charging station. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, we're going to start off with all the hard criminal news, and then we're going to work our way to politics and bullshit. That's how this show is going to work. So if the murders and shootings and all that stuff is not your cup of tea, give us about 30 minutes, and then we'll be down to New Mexico. The New Mexico GOP filing a suit over the Albuquerque mayor's order to bar carrying firearms in public. A judge has ruled on that. Get the update on that. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. Welcome. The Britad. Good evening. I didn't mean to suggest that you didn't know. Perhaps you did know, but if you didn't know, I'll let you know what happened to her. Like, Sparkles was really into this story. She was like, "Did you hear about Lauren Boebert? Did you hear about Lauren Boebert?" All right, so let's cops more AI. Oh, there was a hearing on AI today. I was gonna do that. Woo woo! It's the sound of the police. Woo woo! Do you know that song, Warlord? What is that's KRS-One, I think. Hell yeah! Okay, well I didn't know if you were citing the song. Or if it was just a coincidence. I didn't know. I was, speaking of classic rap songs, I was over About Cops. I was just, for some reason, Eazy-E was in my head. I was like, nobody move, nobody get hurt. Man, if you guys like listen to me for an extended period of time and you've heard me talk about all my different like musical tastes, I probably blow some people's minds. I'm all over the place. And then here I've had this running joke on Facebook that I'm like, if you don't crank the volume when Man in Motion comes on, we can't be friends. If you don't crank the volume when Paula Abdul comes on, we can't be friends. People probably think I have like really poppy taste in music because it's all these like power pop ballads and shit. But I actually like, if you were to come over and listen to my music, you probably wouldn't know 60-70% of the shit that plays. Because I don't know 60-70% of the shit that plays. Nix, good evening. Good evening. Look at KRS-One, amazing. Mwah, amazing artist. Were they a collective? I don't. It might not have been a individual. It might have been a collective. I don't know. I just listen to this shit. I don't ever know what musicians look like. I don't know if they're bands, if it's a solo artist. I only found out that The Weeknd was apparently two people, but it's really so the Weeknd is Abel, but he really didn't do all the good shit that got him big. It was that other dude, I don't even remember his name now. So it was like a duo. I just know I like the haunted strip club sound. The more and more Weeknd drops songs, the less and less they sound like a haunted strip club, and the less I'm into it. Really like that haunted strip club aesthetic. But you know, I live in sexual anarchy, so.
You live in sexual anarchy?
I fucking love Public Image Limited. Like, I'm not a punk fan. I didn't like the Sex Pistols. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck has happened to Johnny Rotten. He's rotted his fucking brain. But my God, Public Image Limited. They're like a new wave. They're hard to pin down. A pop new wave synth. Still with a little punk influence. Alternative rock kind of. I fucking love them to death. I like 80s progressive new wave kind of music anyway. I love Depeche Mode, Gary Newman. This is now a music stream apparently. No, we gotta get to the news. I said I will stop fucking yammering 20 minutes in. I've not lived up to my promise, so my apologies. Shelly, good evening. Ida, oh my God. I was singing, hey Lolita, hey, kissing in the D-A-R-K arc tonight. Like, I was singing that just a couple hours ago at the top of my lungs. My neighbors probably hate me. I'm a little hit or miss with Lana Del Rey. A lot of her slower songs I don't really get into. But yeah. I've got several Lana songs I can rock out to. I like all music except, like, I'm not a fan of. I say I'm not a metal fan. Boomer? I'm a boomer? That's weird. Like, I listen to the new releases every week. I try to keep up with what the kids are listening to. Everybody tells me that I love metal, apparently. Like, all my favorite bands are metal. But I kind of consider it, like, to me, metal is like Pantera and Megadeth and Anthrax, and that's not me. I don't like that shit. I like Dream Theater and Rammstein and Tool and Porcupine Tree and shit like that. To me, that's progressive rock. Love Devin Townsend. People tell me Devin Townsend is metal. Seriously, Warlord, just music. Music is cool. I don't like growling metal. I like progressive rock. I would say I'm a progressive. I would say Tool is a progressive rock band, but other people argue with me. They say they're metal. Talking about music tonight. What was everyone's first concert? My first concert was Eddie Money when I was 10 years old. When I was a little kid, my favorite song in the world was Take Me Home Tonight by Eddie Money. And I said, it's not my favorite Eddie Money song anymore. Concerts are for capitalists, fair enough. I haven't been to one since the pandemic. I probably need to do that, but I'm glad I went to like fucking 300 or so between like 2015 and 2019. The Swifties did cause a seismic event in one of her last concerts. I've got several Taylor Swift songs. The more and more music Taylor Swift puts out, the more I like her. Stiff Little Fingers. I'm not familiar, Libertad. I might have to look them up. Yeah, mine was Eddie Money. My mom took me to see Eddie Money. Reckless Love Band. I put them on my playlist, but I'm not sure that they popped up. I've had my Spotify turned off, actually. I've got like $10 in the bank. I mentioned that earlier, but I've had Spotify turned off because it's kind of been pissing me off. The interface has been really wonky. It hasn't been working the way it does, and like it hasn't been suggesting new music to me that I like. So it's like fuck it. Because I'm a internet pirate, so I have a huge collection of MP3s. I've fucking got to get to the news. What that news be doing? I don't believe this one actually was a mass shooting, but it very well could have turned into a mass shooting. The same college campus shut down within 3 weeks. UNC Chapel Hill lockdown lifted after man with gun arrested. Students frustrated by weapons culture. Local police cleared students, faculty, and others at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to resume normal activities more than an hour after the school community was under lockdown over a warning of an armed and dangerous person. Justin, I don't know. I haven't heard of anybody having been prosecuted for MP3 piracy since the late 2000s, but that doesn't mean that they stopped. I covered several cases in federal court when I was doing news in like 2007, 2008. But then like I went back to college, I would have quit keeping up with shit like that. The second time that the school has been under a lockdown under a similar threat since the start of the semester, just like 3 weeks ago. University officials canceled classes for the rest of the day following the lockdown. All clear, local police wrote on X at 2:10 p.m. At 12:54, the university sent an email saying they have activated the Alert Carolina sirens because police report an armed and dangerous person on or near campus. People were instructed to go inside immediately, close the windows and doors, and stay until further notice. Brian James, chief of police at UNC Chapel Hill, said the witness described the suspect brandishing a gun at a bagel shop. This was over an employment-related conflict. The suspect was identified as Michael Deontay Harris, 27. The man was apprehended and arrested on outstanding warrants related to an assault on September 5th of 2023. So just like a week ago. Police are still reviewing campus footage from Wednesday. They believe there was some sort of connection between the armed person and the suspect, but the motive remains unclear. It is sad and alarming. 2 lockdowns within 3 weeks. Remember, we heard from the freshmen, a couple of freshmen on campus. They're like, it's our first week. We don't even know where we're going. Gun crazy culture. We're such a gun crazy culture that if you break out of prison and just break into a random house, you can just steal a rifle. They'll just be laying around in the garage. What was it? Danilo Cavalcante. The escaped inmate in Pennsylvania has been apprehended as of just a few hours ago.
Shortly after 8 a.m., our suspect was captured.
About 12 hours ago.
It's finally over, and the good guys won.
Let's hope it's quiet again. It's serene. Everyone can just exhale finally. It's nice.
Now at 4 o'clock, a convicted killer is back behind bars after nearly 2 weeks on the run. The manhunt came to a dramatic end this morning behind a tractor store in Chester County. Law enforcement found Danilo Cavalcante hiding in the woods thanks to thermal imaging from an airplane. Teams moved in, a canine ultimately subduing the suspect as he made one last desperate attempt to flee. It is Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm amazed there wasn't a shootout.
The big story on Action News is the capture of a convicted murderer 14 days after his escape from Chester County Prison. These were some of the first images of the 34-year-old after he was back in police custody. Following his capture, he was taken to Pennsylvania State Police Avondale Barracks, where a crowd of onlookers gathered for his arrival. He was later transported to
They're like cheering him on.
in Skippack Township.
We have live coverage of this capture on several fronts today, but we're going to begin now with Action News' Walter Perez live at the command center in Unionville. Walter, you've got more on how the final moments of this long manhunt played out today.
That's right, Brian and Sarah. You used the word dramatic earlier, and boy, is that accurate. Investigators say there was no shortage of highs and lows during this effort, but in the end, this fugitive is back behind bars. After
It was a wild ride.
It did not end well for escaped killer Danilo Cavalcante. In fact, this photo reveals what happened after the fugitive came into what federal agents refer to as positive contact with a Border Patrol dog named Yoda.
The canine unit made positive contact with Cavalcante. He was bitten a couple times. I believe the first time, because only Cavalcante's head was showing, he took a bite on the scalp, which is the reason why maybe you see blood in some of your videos.
It all started unfolding during the overnight hours when a house alarm within the police perimeter was tripped. Investigators converged on that area with assistance from a Border Patrol aircraft loaded up with heat-sensing equipment. Now, a heat source was detected nearby, but
unfortunately, we had a weather system that also came in, and we had lightning that was flashing all around, and it caused the aircraft to have to depart the area.
Still, agents on the ground collapsed the perimeter around the area north of Prizer Road. A few hours later, agents from Pennsylvania State Police and U.S. Border Patrol made visual contact with Cavalcante.
They were able to move in very quietly. They had the element of surprise. Cavalcante did not realize he was surrounded until that had occurred.
Cavalcante tried to escape under the thick
So apparently one of them almost stepped on him.
brush, but didn't get very far thanks to canine officer Yoda. The fugitive was captured, and the rifle he stole earlier this week was recovered, all without a single shot being fired.
I thank God that no
Amazing.
one was injured. That was my first question to the colonel. Was anyone hurt, law enforcement or public? And to know that these professionals just went out and did their job should make us all proud.
We knew that we were going to get him. It was just going to be a matter of time.
I'm amazed he's alive.
This all started, of course, when Cavalcante escaped from Chester County Prison after being convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend. But tonight, for the people of northern Chester County, this nightmare is over. Reporting live from Unionville, Walter Perez, Channel 6 Action News. Brian?
A sentence they've been waiting a very long time to hear. Walter, thank you.
I did not see the rifle.
And the rifle he stole.
Looks like it might have a pink side on it, actually. Yeah. So well, no, that's a black side. What's that below it?
Earlier this week was recovered.
There's something extra on it. I don't know what that is.
Captured, and the rifle he stole
I'm not sure, Flash.
Earlier this week was recovered, all without a single shot being fired.
I thank God that no one was injured. That was my first question to the colonel. Was anyone hurt, law enforcement or public? And to know that these professionals just went out and did their job should make us all proud.
We knew that we were going to get him. It was just going to be a matter of time.
And so the
I feel like there was some kind of
Cavalcante escaped from Chester County Prison.
other thing on it besides just the wood.
But tonight, for the people of northern Chester County, this nightmare is over. Reporting live from Unionville, Walter Perez, Channel 6 Action News. Brian?
A sentence they've been waiting a very long time to hear. Walter, thank you. We switch live now to Action News reporter Chad Perdelli at the State Police Avondale Barracks with new details about what Cavalcante told authorities about his capture and his 2 weeks on the run. Chad.
Brian, authorities say he was very cooperative and really filled in the blanks during.
I really like the graphics package and their transitions and shit. A lot of times we watch these local news stations and it'll have like this really loud stinger and it'll have these real flashy graphics come up on screen. No, I love. Did you see the way they switched from the reporters there? It did a little like push.
Live from Unionville, Walter Perez, Channel 6 Action News. Brian?
A sentence they've been.
So like it'll push out and reveal the other reporter. That was super cool. Other stations would go back to a one shot and then hit this fucking crazy stinger to go to the reporter. And I like this a hell of a lot better.
Been waiting a very long time to hear. Walter, thank you. We switch live now to Action News reporter Chad Perdelli.
Beautiful.
State Police Avondale Barracks with new details about what Cavalcante told authorities about his capture and his 2 weeks on the run. Chad.
Brian, authorities say he was very cooperative and really filled in the blanks during that 4-hour interrogation in the building behind me. Among the revelations, he survived on watermelon he found and stream water. He concealed his fecal matter to avoid detection and not leave a trail, and was almost stepped on at one point during the search by law enforcement. And more importantly, he received no help during his 14 days on the lam. Authorities pulled Danilo Cavalcante from an armored vehicle and took him into the State Police Avondale Barracks around 9:30 a.m. They want to know his movements during his 14 days on the lam, but more importantly, whether he received any help.
One of the things that I'm most interested in right now is about any assistance that he may have received, whether in the prison or outside of the prison while he was on the run.
The 34-year-old emerged from the barracks after 4 hours of interrogation wearing a hospital gown. He said nothing as reporters shouted questions before being taken to SCI Phoenix. Dozens of nearby residents waited hours to get a glimpse.
We had heard on the news that he was caught, and it seemed like it would be pretty exciting to come down and watch him roll through the doors.
You look like a motherfucker that hates fudge rounds.
Coming from 41, I knew what it was, so I wanted to see for my own self so we could sleep.
There's a collective feeling of relief around here that Cavalcante is now behind bars.
I'm just glad that he's captured. Gives a lot of relief to people, and you know, it's good to know that everybody's safe again.
And according to court records, Cavalcante was arraigned for that prison escape on that charge of escape earlier today. He faces.
Ray, good evening. Yeah, they said concealed fecal matter, but they didn't explain how he, like, did he bury it? How? But that would still leave a scent, wouldn't it? Did he maybe go through a dog park and have, like, find some, like, little baggies or something that he could,
This is a preliminary hearing in a couple of weeks, but he faces a slew of other charges for those home break-ins and burglaries. But it may be a moot point because he's already going to serve
a Libertad
for that murder charge.
Concealed fecal matter, yes.
Avondale, Chad Perdelli, Channel 6 Action News.
Chad, thank you. For nearly 2 weeks now, we've been seeing images like these from inside the search zone. Officers from various agencies, heavily armed and dressed in tactical gear, carefully combing through normally quiet neighborhoods. People in those areas have been living on edge as this search dragged on. News of Cavalcante's capture today was a huge relief. Action News reporter Taronda Thomas is live in West Vincent Township with more on how residents are feeling now that this is all over.
Well, Sarah, people here are just ready to get back to normal now that Cavalcante has been captured, and some are finding out just how close the escaped killer got to them.
We're going to walk the dog.
And for the first time in days,
It's the best boy.
walk won't include state troopers.
Every car was basically positioned so their headlights went up.
They were sitting by their cars with the guns out, ready to go.
They lined the street in front of the family's East Netmeal Township home, which was right in the search perimeter for Danilo Cavalcante, who apparently was not too far from the family's home.
They found his shoes at our neighbor's house up there.
Field right
and the field. Yeah, so they think he was in the creek over there, hanging out on Sunday night. That was freaky. Yeah, really freaky.
Seriously, Flash, and it was thermal imaging that got him.
Close to the search area in West Vincent Township.
Everybody's on edge, reporting everything that they hear, from leaves rustling to dogs barking, which is a normal occurrence, but we don't know.
Residents told to shelter in place and lock their doors as police searched every car that came through. Fear made some reluctant to do things as simple as gardening and walking.
I walk over here every day, and my wife walks every day, but we haven't been walking.
Instead, glued to live streams of the search.
ABC live feed. I just finished watching the news conference.
Relieved to hear the news of Cavalcante's capture.
Huge sigh of relief.
Residents who watched police search for 2 weeks.
Sunday morning, Wawa was surrounded with SWAT teams.
Now praising the search team for finding the fugitive.
I give shout out to the police for being able to, stay with it, because it's a struggle. 14 days.
It means Black can now safely walk Horseshoe Trail.
It's their job.
A trail she thinks that Cavalcante may have used.
This trail actually goes on and off all the way to Harrisburg.
The tranquility of the trail and town restored as residents breathe a sigh of relief.
Happy that it's over. We weren't sure.
Beautiful poppers.
Schools and some businesses were also impacted by this search. Residents are looking forward to those getting back to normal as well. We are live in West Vincent Township. Rhonda Thomas, Channel 6 Action News.
Yeah, Rhonda, thank you. And of course, to that end, news of the capture means that elements of life that have been on hold in Chester County can finally resume now. Longwood Gardens reopened to the public this morning. The grounds were inside the search zone at one point, and in fact, the escapee was recorded on a trail camera on that property. In reopening today, management of the garden said the past few days.
Okay, that's what I meant, like something as simple as infrared or
respite.
Download the 6ABC app.
Thermal technology was what actually caught them. They didn't need all their fucking tanks and shit. I'm with you. ABC 6 out of Philadelphia, I think. Goddamn. You may be the absolute, ABC 6 out of Philadelphia. You may be the best goddamn news station we have watched on this show in my 3.5 years of doing this. Holy shit. Like everything from your graphics to your reporters to your anchors. Fantastic. Fantastic job. 5 out of 5 stars. If it had been in the Tokyo Dome, it would have been 6 stars. Speaking of murderers, let's go to Idaho. This is a trial that's getting ready to get started on a story that we followed. Was it about this time last year? It was October, November, I think. It was definitely snowing in Idaho. That's saying something, Flash. Yeah, they were fantastic.
I have deferred my decision about cameras. One of the things that
this hearing was about cameras in the courtroom. The lawyers, the prosecution, and the defense have apparently both agreed to not allow cameras. They're pushing to not allow cameras, and the families are pushing for cameras.
That's going to be really important, that is very important, is that the people with the camera and media need to follow the rules.
Brian Kohberger's lawyers and prosecutors do not want cameras in the courtroom. A media coalition is fighting that request, and now 2 of the victims' families say they want cameras in court too. Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. A hearing today in Brian Kohberger's case will determine whether cameras are allowed in the courtroom for the remainder of the case. Kohberger's lawyers have asked for a second time that Judge John Judge exclude cameras. Now prosecutors are backing the defense request, but for different reasons. Kohberger has pleaded not guilty to the November 2022 murders of Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle in Moscow, Idaho. He faces the possibility of the death penalty if convicted.
Now, if you guys don't remember all the details, he was a criminology student at the University of Idaho in Boise, I think it was. His defense have been adamant that they have evidence that will exonerate him. He acted weird when they took him in. We watched body camera footage of the cops actually pulling him over after he had committed the murder for something completely unrelated as he was driving back cross country. I think he was in Pennsylvania when he was arrested.
Boebertjuice's lawyers have accused the media of violating Judge's June order to not focus on Kohberger.
We will be filing a motion to constitute media in the courtroom, particularly the cameras in the courtroom.
Kohberger's lawyers claim in a motion that the camera focused on Kohberger's fly and that social media users use images from media outlets to produce prejudicial content. They also claim the camera focused on counsel tables, which prohibits them from effectively representing their client. The prosecution is now joining the defense in its request to remove cameras from the courtroom, citing harassment that some witnesses have been subjected to throughout the investigation. A media coalition that includes Law and Crime has filed a motion objecting to the request to remove cameras. Lawyers for the media wrote that the cameras did not focus on Kohberger's fly. Rather, a social media user clipped an image. The media coalition's lawyers also
fly?
That while counsel tables were shown in footage, none of the writing on papers could be seen in the images. Just yesterday, the media gained an ally in the fight to keep cameras in the courtroom. The families of Kaylee Gonsalves and Xana Kernodle wrote in a statement, "It is vitally important that this trial be open to the public to view and watch. There is an enormous amount of media coverage about this case, some good, some bad, and with that comes the responsibility of the court to ensure a fair trial. This case is surrounded by secrecy. Everything is either..."
Like, look, I as a media person want it to be open. I want that footage for content. And that's the same reason Law and Crime wants it to be open, for content. But that's perverse. And if it's going to stand in the way of justice, I would have, if the prosecution was going to push for no cameras, they should have consulted with the family members and said, like, hey, this is the reason why we are pushing for no cameras and why we think it is detrimental to our case to be able to prosecute this motherfucker and bring justice to you. It feels like a failure if the prosecution did not properly relay that message to the families or consult with them before this motion.
Sealed or redacted. The family has not received any discovery on this case or any information about the facts of the case from the state. No one knows anything about the case, which leads to speculation. That speculation is fueled by the secrecy surrounding everything that is filed and every hearing that is closed off to the media and the public. The families also write that the defense and prosecution's request...
Well, also, like, so it wouldn't be closed off to the public. Reporters would still be allowed in. They just can't film. Cameras wouldn't be allowed. I never got to take a camera with me to the courtroom when I was doing reporting. But I took my audio recorder. I usually had audio, of which I worked on the radio. Reporters can still tell you what's going on. So it's not like it's secrecy, and I understand the prosecution not sharing the details of the case with the families yet.
A lack of faith in the justice system. Judge had previously voiced support for having cameras in courtrooms, but noted that this case may be different. He had reserved ruling on whether or not he would allow cameras to continue throughout the duration of the case. Kohberger's case is in Idaho, where Lori Vallow Daybell was recently convicted of the murders of her two children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. The judge in that case ordered cameras, but allowed audio of the trial to be released at the end of each court day.
You don't think he's a murderer?
The prosecution cited that case in its request, but interestingly enough, deferred to the judge the first time that the defense requested that cameras be removed. Stay with Law and Crime for continuing coverage of the...
Thank you, Law and Crime. I do. I most certainly subscribe to your channel and consume your content quite often. More often off stream than on stream, I would say. I watch a lot of fucking courtroom video and body cam video. I don't know why it fascinates me. I really don't. This one's wild, coming to you out of California. Let me hit the content warning for it. We've got video of a home invasion where the family was tied up and held at gunpoint in Orange County.
One man is under arrest tonight, and police are looking for 3 others after a violent home invasion robbery in Westminster. Investigators say that the 4 men armed with guns forced their way into the home on Pebble Beach Circle just after 10:30 last night.
Wait, we just got pictures.
Suspects tied up 2 adults, an elderly woman, and 2 children. At one point, a suspect used a stun gun on one of the victims and demanded to know where their valuables were. The suspects fled the home as police arrived.
Right here, motherfucker!
Take one of them into custody. He's identified as 29-year-old Danny Somay of Banning, and the other 3 got away.
I'm lucky I've never been the victim of a violent crime. Because seriously, I could be held at gunpoint and the motherfucker would be like, where's your valuables? Right here, motherfucker! Like, I know for a fact, like, I probably don't want to travel to many countries on the face of this planet because my mouth would get me in trouble. I would not be able to help myself. My mouth gets me in trouble here in the land of the free. I call We had a shooting on my campus. It wasn't like a lone wolf mass shooter or something. It was like 2 guys having a dispute. And there was a shooting. And it was near my apartment. They shut off my apartment complex to where you couldn't just come and go as you please. They put up a booth. For the first couple of weeks, there were like a police what would you call it? Like a checkpoint at the entrance of my apartment complex. And I was still at the strip club at this time. So like I was getting off work from the strip club. I had pot in my fucking cargo pants. I think I'd even bought it like at the club that night. So me and my girlfriend, I think she might have been riding behind me. I think she came to the club and then she rode back to the apartment building. But we come up with this checkpoint and the cops are just all up in my business and everything. I'm like, dude, I'm tired. I've just been to work. And they're like, he's fucking still like giving me shit. Well, he finally like lets me go by and I'm like, goddamn Gestapo. And they fucking came up, pulled me out of my truck after I got to my parking spot. Like, what'd you say? I was like, I called you the Gestapo. What's that mean? It's like, do you not know history? Do you not know what Nazi Germany is? Let's go to New Mexico, where the mayor of Albuquerque tried to take steps to protect the citizens of the city and do something about the goddamn gun problem we have in this fucking country. A reminder, remember last night we listened to Senator Kennedy bitch about fucking books in the library. Bitch about fucking. That's what it was. Bitching about books in the library. Probably as a shooting was going on in his state. I don't know the exact time that the hearing took place, but within hours of a shooting going on in his state. Today, we have the second lockdown of the same campus in 2.5 fucking weeks. We have a problem in this fucking country. Remember, kids. And yes, right-wingers, I'm joking, you fucking idiots. The New Mexico GOP filed a suit against the public health order issued by the mayor of Albuquerque. We actually got a ruling before the end of the day. So this piece was earlier in the day, and then I'll give you the ruling.
What was supposed to be a cooling off period in Albuquerque following a string of tragic gun-related deaths is quickly turning into a heated battle among state leaders. There are at least 4 lawsuits now targeting Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's temporary suspension on guns.
Oh, it's the governor? I thought it was the mayor of Albuquerque. I'm sorry. I was wrong on this. The mayor of Albuquerque did issue something.
Leaders. There are at least 4 lawsuits now targeting Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's temporary suspension on guns in public places here in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. The Republican Party of New Mexico says it plans on filing yet another lawsuit tomorrow. But the big question tonight, who will defend the governor against these lawsuits? Griffin Rushton has been following all the legal back and forth, and our state's top prosecutor now says he's not getting involved in this.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was the mayor that suspended the right to carry firearms in Albuquerque. My apologies. I think I put the mayor of Albuquerque on the... No, that's the governor. That's Michelle Lujan Grisham. Huh. Because I was pretty certain that I searched for the mayor of Albuquerque. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he's not. Attorney General Raul Torres, a Democrat himself, sent a 3-page letter to the governor to the governor today saying he's not going to defend her in court, even though that's part of his job. In the first paragraph of his letter, AG Torres plainly says, "I do not believe that the emergency order will have any meaningful impact on public safety. But more importantly, I do not believe it passes constitutional muster." The AG goes on to explain why he believes the governor's order is legally flawed, including her broad interpretation of the Public Health Emergency Response Act, which allows her to declare public health emergencies, as well as several U.S. Supreme Court rulings that already address state regulation of firearms. The AG also encourages the governor to consider if all the time and energy spent defending this order would be better served developing a comprehensive gun violence plan for the upcoming legislative session. Now, regardless of the reasons, New Mexico Republican leaders celebrated the AG's decision today, arguing it's a sign many New Mexicans are against the governor's order.
This is not about Republicans or Democrats or independents. Even the highest law enforcement official in New Mexico, the Attorney General, has said he will not defend her.
But know that we're not alone. This is all Americans. This is all New Mexicans standing up against the totalitarianism of this governor.
Why don't you stand up against gun violence, motherfucker? Like, that seems to be the issue to me. People are dying in the fucking streets of completely preventable violence. Jesus.
Similar to AG Torres' letter, Republican Party leaders say their new lawsuit is challenging the governor's interpretation of her emergency powers and how far her authoritative privileges actually go.
Our lawsuit is going not only after the Second Amendment protection, but it is digging down to that health order that she claims is the right. That is not the right to take away anybody's freedom. It is not the right to abridge any constitutional provision.
Now, despite all that, Republican leaders admitted today that their attorneys believe that this is going to be a tough case for them.
And we knew the governor was expecting lawsuits to be filed in this, but what is she saying about AG Torres' letter and him saying he's not going to be in her corner here?
Well, it appears her office is pretty frustrated tonight. A spokesperson says the governor did not ask the attorney general to represent the state and says the crime issue in Albuquerque should not be a surprise to him. She added, as Bernalillo County District Attorney, his office's high dismissal, acquittal, and mistrial rates certainly did not help solve the issue. Additionally, abysmal success rates in DA Torres' pretrial detention hearings put dangerous criminals back out on the streets. Now, the statement goes on to say that the governor is looking for state leaders to step up and looking for bold steps to protect New Mexicans from gun violence, and she's inviting the attorney general to join that effort.
Lots of back and forth.
Thank you, Cobb 4. Cobb 4. What a wild name for... Cobb would be like the name of a station you'd expect to like see in like corn country up in Iowa or some shit. What Cobb 4. Thanks for tuning in to Cobb 4. Let's go to Coat action. For the update on the ruling, we got a ruling from the judge on the GOP's lawsuit later in the day.
The judge blocking the governor's order from banning people from carrying guns in Bernalillo County. That 30-day ban, a major part of her public health order addressing violence in the state's largest metro area. The order also prompting a lot of lawsuits. We will have much more on those lawsuits later in this newscast.
Coat Action News. I don't know why I'm so tickled by that. Coat Action News. We had Cobb News and Coat Action News. Yes, I do one of the best news shows on the planet, but also I make jokey jokes the whole time. Even though we talk about like the most horrendous shit happening in the world, heart goes out to the congresswoman from Alaska whose husband actually died in a plane crash today. Democratic Representative Mary Peltola's husband Eugene was killed in a plane crash. I'm heartbroken for them. That's horrible. That is GOP Senator Ted Stevens, who died in a small engine plane crash back in 2010. This is the second Alaskan politician to die in like the last 15 years in a plane crash. Wow. Don't fly on 9/11. Don't fly to Alaska, apparently. Let's go to more transportation news. The Secretary of Energy. The Secretary of Energy. Why do I not see her name? I'm not Granholm. Okay, what's her first name? Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm had the cops called on her because apparently one of her staffers was blocking an EV charging station with a gas-powered car, the Secretary of Energy.
Columbia County 911.
Hi, I'm calling because I'm in the Grovetown Walmart at the charging station, and there's literally a non-electric car that is taking up the space who says they're holding the space for somebody else, and it's holding up a whole bunch of people who need to charge their cars.
All right, you're at the Walmart on Steiner Way.
The one in Grovetown that has the Arby's in front.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you. The person's left. Yes.
Are they
Hello?
still there?
They're still here, but one spot opened up, which is like not them, but there's other people who are waiting to charge, and they're still here, and they're not an electric car, and the sign says that it has to. You can't park here unless you're charging. No.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Corolla. It's black.
Do you see a tag number?
I can get it, but they said that their person's going to be here in 2 minutes that they're holding the spot for. So maybe. Well, now I'm charging, so I don't even care anymore. But yeah.
Okay, I've got a deputy on the way. Can you see the tag number?
That's the number. Oh, they just got here. Go take a picture of the Corolla tag. Go take a picture of the Corolla tag.
How many charges?
Jesús. Tengo que hacer todo yo. Yes, I'll take a picture of the Corolla tag. I wish my phone.
Is it a government license plate? I'd assume it is.
Can you please take a picture?
Viewers at home.
Oh, that was an abrupt ending there. When someone in a gas-powered vehicle hogged an electric car charger to reserve it for someone else, that didn't sit well with a frustrated family in Grovetown. This happened on June 27th. Camilla Domanowski was riding with Granholm and wrote an article for NPR that included the Grovetown incident. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm was in the middle of a 4-day trip from Charlotte to Memphis to promote electric vehicles, and she needed to stop for a recharge. Granholm and her entourage were approaching Grovetown. Her advance team saw that there weren't going to be enough chargers at the Walmart, according to Domanowski's article. So a staffer parked a gas vehicle in front of one of the chargers to save it for the dignitary. That's when a family waiting to charge their car on a broiling day with a baby in the vehicle called Columbia County 911 to complain. Good on them. I'm calling because, we already heard all that. The caller complains that a sign clearly states the space is only for cars that are being charged. A deputy was sent, but authorities determined no law had been broken. That's why deputies didn't give News 12 an incident report when we asked for one, but they did give us the recording of the 911 call, which we just heard. The Domanowski said the Energy Department employee did scramble to smooth any ruffled feathers and make sure the frustrated family and the Energy Secretary could both charge their vehicles. When News 12 contacted the Energy Department officials to tell their side of the story, a staffer asked if they could have our recording of the 911 call. We told them it was public record and directed them to the Columbia County Sheriff's Office where they could get their own copy. Go get your own copy, bitches! Right-wing media has ran with this over the fact that they used a gas-powered car to block the charging station. The Energy Secretary is not above the law. I think it's a dick move that they tried to block the charging station for her. She can come and wait her fucking turn. She's not special. Someone else who doesn't get special treatment. Representative Lauren Boebert. If you are causing a disturbance at a Broadway show, Congress is in session. Why is she in Denver? That one just dawned on me. Congress is in session. Why is she in Denver? They just came back. Recess just ended. Surveillance video shows Boebert being escorted out of a theater. Now, I am going to read to you what Sparkles had to write. And Sparkles, for some reason, was really interested in this story and was fascinated by Lauren Boebert was apparently dancing and shit. So, before we watch the video, I'm going to let you hear Sparkles' description. All I saw was her titties trying to leave her body. Every 2 steps, she's jerking her dress up over her nips. So plays require Kelly Bundy attire. She asked me if there was video, and I was like, well, there's video of her being escorted out, but I don't know if there's video of her dancing and shit during the event, because I think that's what she wanted to see. So here you go. This is Lauren Boebert. She's over in this area somewhere. When are these titties going to be bouncing out of the dress? What? Also, Freak Show back on October 13th with special guest co-host, the Media Wench. So you can see an usher talking with Boebert, and she's divorced from her husband now, isn't she? Or they were separated, so she's there with some other gentleman. Or is she still with her husband? Her husband that apparently exposed himself to children? He was accused of vaping, dancing, and singing loudly. Which, I mean, do they discourage you from singing along with Broadway shows? If you're at a concert, you can sing along, right? Where was this her titties flopping out of her dress? What was Sparkles talking about? Oh, I guess this is what she's talking about. Wow. I may be getting Boebert and Green mixed up, but I want to say Boebert also separated from her husband. Filed for divorce from her husband on May 16th. Her husband apparently said it was a difficult marriage. So poor dude who's there on a date with Lauren Boebert as she gets escorted out of Beetlejuice. This was Beetlejuice, the musical. Well, they look to be very. She's still tugging at her top there. She's very happy. She was dancing around. Fuzzy, good evening. Don't take shit from anyone. She apparently asked them, like, do you know who I am at some point in time? I don't think they care, ma'am. You ain't special. It's like Jennifer Granholm isn't special. She shouldn't be allowed to blog an EV station. Yep, Boebert, very happy, very, very into her date, apparently. Going to see Wicked. Congrats. Like, she keeps spinning around. What is up with this woman? You think she's intoxicated? I mean, I'm not going to fault her for that. She was vaping and it was in Colorado, so she could be fucking high. You want to do the actual news reporting?
Theater had to escort Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert out of her performance of Beetlejuice this week.
Can't make it big.
After getting complaints about vaping, taking pictures, and causing a disturbance. We just got a hold of the video from inside the theater Sunday night.
Oh yeah, you can't take video and shit. Take pictures during a play.
An incident report detailed it, and city sources confirmed to 9 News that Boebert and the person she was with were the subject of complaints. Audience members said the two were vaping and singing, and when asked to leave, got argumentative. Boebert appeared to take a selfie as she was escorted out. Boebert's congressional office did not reply to multiple emails about what happened, though the Congresswoman alluded to what happened on Twitter, saying she pled guilty to laughing and singing too loud.
I mean, that's like, I don't want to fault her for having fun at a performance, but also don't disturb other people. Don't be an asshole. Don't ruin their enjoyment of the performance. I don't think she'll get reelected. She barely was able to pull it out last time, and she is running against the same guy this time, so he comes in with far more name recognition this time. Trying to cancel her. ability to see a musical. Someone who is self-canceling kind of came as a surprise to me today. Senator Mitt Romney not seeking re-election in 2024.
So you guys have already seen the statement that I put out. I don't know that I want to repeat that, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to respond to those.
Senator Romney. Why would you not pursue re-election?
So he can go enjoy his life. He's got, what, 20, 30, 40 years left, possibly at the high end. What is he, 60-something at this point? Like, he may have a good 20 years. Like, go enjoy your fucking wealth.
I considered my age and the fact that at the end of a second term I would be in my mid-80s, and I think it's time for
he's older than I thought.
to get out of the way and have people in the next generation step forward, because they're going to be shaping the world they're going to be living in. And over the last a couple of decades, people of my age, the boomers, have done pretty well for ourselves. We voted for all sorts of benefits and programs for us, and we haven't paid for them. And I think some of the people that are coming along next want to have a say in how we leave the earth and how they prepare for the future they're going to live in.
Don't like the guy, but I respect that statement. Thank you, Mitt Romney. Thank you. Thank you. I way more respect for you after that statement I just heard. Wow. Thank you.
Trump critic, did you feel like with him likely being on the ballot next year, it would give you trouble running for re-election?
You know, there was a recent poll in Utah which had me showing some very strong numbers. I was very pleased to see that.
Oh, yeah, I think he would have cruised to re-election.
Agree with me on the posture I took with regards to Donald Trump, but they respect people who vote their conscience, and I appreciate that in my fellow citizens, and I don't have any question in my mind that if I'd have run again, I just don't think that we need another person in their 80s. I'm a little long of tooth already. We don't need more like me. The issues of the day relate to China, climate change, AI, and a lot of guys in their 80s who know how to deal with those issues.
Thank you, Mitt Romney. Best thing you've ever done in your life. God, I hope it sets an example. But I mean, like, as if the dude isn't rich as fuck anyway. His family incredibly wealthy. Good on him. Why couldn't Mitch McConnell have done that 20 years ago? Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is seeking re-election again. She announced a day or two ago, seeking re-election again. Fuck you, Nancy. Seriously. Take a lesson from Mitt Romney. Go enjoy your fucking life. Your husband almost died. Go enjoy your fucking retirement. Stay out of our fucking hair. I don't want to have to do this, but apparently it's contentious. There's some fireworks going on. As always, I have to play a content warning before I show you this man's face. Ted Cruz grilled the Federal Bureau of Prisons Director, Colette Peters, about trans women being housed in prison.
Ms. Peters, one of President Biden's first acts after taking office was to issue Executive Order 14006, mandating that contracts with privately owned detention facilities not be renewed. The order was intended, quote, to decrease incarceration levels by reducing profit-based incentives to incarcerate by phasing out the federal government's reliance on privately operated criminal detention.
You know, I didn't even know about that. Good on you, Joe Biden. Boy, I probably fucking covered it when it happened. But fucking great. That's another feather in the cap of Joe Biden. Good. Totally into it.
In facilities. This order has created many unintended consequences, including the closing of the Willacy County Regional Detention Facility in Raymondville, Texas. The decision has had tremendous negative consequences with little to no obvious upside, forcing inmates to travel hundreds of miles round trip for court appearances, impacting the accessibility of legal counsel, and making family visits significantly more difficult. It has also caused administration issues for the prison system and harmed the local economy by eliminating these jobs. Literally every stakeholder that has a role to play in these cases is opposed to this Biden policy. That includes the defense bar, the federal public defender, the U.S. attorney, even the federal bench. All have publicly asked for this policy to be rescinded. Unfortunately, as with the open borders under Joe Biden, the Biden administration doesn't give a damn about how their woke policies actually affect South Texas or the lives of regular people. Ms. Peters, how has Executive Order 14006 impacted the Bureau?
What does Ted Cruz know about regular people?
Inmates, and has it been a negative impact or a positive impact?
Thank you, Senator. So we were able to come into compliance with the executive order the end of last November and bring in those individuals from those facilities that were closed, and we were able to safely absorb them into our current population.
Okay, that you didn't answer my question. How has it impacted the BOP, and has it been positive or negative?
Senator, I don't know that I can put it in a positive or negative
How do you
category.
quantify that?
Is the defense bar and the U.S. attorney and the federal bench, are they all wrong?
I'm not familiar with their opinions and their reasons for opposing.
Okay, unfortunately, you're illustrating that the Biden
Snicks, I don't know if you were here the other night, but we watched the video from inside a Russian prison. U.S. media said they wouldn't play it, so we had to go to RT and watch it. And we had to wonder, like, is the reason U.S. media wouldn't play it is because this Russian prison looks a hell of a lot better than a U.S. prison.
administration doesn't care about South Texas if you don't even know the impact.
You don't care about South Texas.
All right, let's shift to the
Cancun, Ted.
I was just asking you about, because I have to say I found your answers to him thoroughly unacceptable. The
I find you thoroughly unacceptable.
Offender manual issued by the Bureau of Prison through your predecessors reverted back to the Obama administration's initial designation and housing programming assignments. Notably, biological sex at birth is no longer the controlling determinant. Right now today, how many biological males are housed in female prisons under BOP?
Senator, I don't have those numbers in front of me today.
Why don't you?
We could look at them and get back to you.
Why don't you?
I just don't have them top of
Did
mind.
you know you were going to be asked that today?
No, Senator.
Oh, you didn't? Have you been asked that before?
On the record, Senator?
Yes.
I don't recall.
You were asked a year ago in writing, and you failed to answer it in writing. You knew damn well you're going to be asked it today, but you don't want to answer it. Senator Lee,
You self-righteous prick.
You don't report the numbers because you don't want people to know the numbers. So the fact that you sit there and say, I don't know, he said 1,300. Is that number in the ballpark?
1,300 as it relates to which category, Senator?
Biological males housed in female prisons.
No, that would be a much larger number.
Which is a larger number?
So the number of individuals who even identify as transgender at the Federal Bureau of Prisons is around 1,700. And the number of individuals that are housed in institutions not conforming with their biological sex are very low.
Very low. Are we talking 100? Are we talking 10?
We will look at the numbers. We're talking less than 10.
So your testimony here, I just want to understand, your testimony here today is there are fewer than 10 biological males, human beings that were born male, who are housed in female prisons. Is that your testimony?
That is my understanding, and I will confirm that and get back to you.
Okay. Of the 1,700 prisoners you referenced, how many of them are convicted sex offenders?
I do not know the answer to that, Senator.
Oh, my God.
Are you aware that Great Britain?
I would say that the GOP has more convicted sex offenders than there are trans sex offenders in our prison system right now. I would almost guarantee that. Ted Cruz.
Britain's numbers, according to a January 2022 report, is the proportion of male-born transgender offenders who are sex offenders in the UK prison system is roughly 60%, significantly higher than the 18% of the general population. Are those numbers consistent with the American numbers?
I'm not familiar with Great Britain's numbers.
So let me ask you this. How many female inmates have been sexually assaulted by biological males who BOP has housed in female prisons?
Senator, I would have to look into that and get
I'd say it's minuscule.
Do you have an obligation to protect those female prisoners?
Absolutely.
And so have you examined how many women have been sexually assaulted by biological males that BOP?
Ted Cruz, sexual assault is a huge problem in prison. It's a huge problem in our military. Why are you singling out trans people?
Is placed in the prison with those women?
I have not, Senator, but I will tell you that safety and security and the placement of every individual in our custody is top of mind and the most important.
So if it's top of mind, why haven't you examined how many have been sexually assaulted? This is an obvious question. If you put a man with male genitals, with a male body in a female prison who's a convicted sex offender.
It's not a man with male genitals, whatever. Like, male and female are words we just made up to describe nature. Why do you fucking obsess over people's genitals, you weird fucking creep?
It's not rocket science that there's a real risk those women are going to be victims of sexual assault. How is it possible that you haven't even asked the question how many women are getting sexually assaulted because of the policies of the Biden administration?
The policies of the Biden administration? No. There are plenty of women getting sexually assaulted in prison right now. By other women, by guards, by cops. I assure you, Ted Cruz, there are more prison guards sexually assaulting women than there are trans people sexually assaulting women. Guaranteed, Ted Cruz. You're just a bigot. Fuck you. I guess we're finally going to have to talk about it, aren't we? I told you it was way down the list because that's how unimportant it was. Probably should have put the Mexican aliens in front of it. Do you want to talk about impeachment? Let's talk about impeachment. We're going to head down to Texas, where the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, facing an impeachment trial. An alleged mistress is apparently unavailable to testify in the impeachment trial, though I saw her walk into the chamber.
A live look here from Austin, Texas, as the impeachment trial, the historic trial for Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, continues today. And all day we've been talking about the possibility of his alleged mistress taking the stand to testify today. Well, I want to pull up this tweet here from Stephen Dial from Fox 4 saying here, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said Laura Olson, Paxton's alleged mistress, is present but has been deemed unavailable to testify. Let's bring in now Fox 7's Rudy Koski joining us here. Rudy, tell us exactly what we know.
What up, Rudy?
Is there a possibility that she could testify in the future, or what exactly comes next?
Yeah, we don't know anything about that, Lexi. Nothing at all. This just happened maybe just about 15 minutes ago. There's been a lot of anticipation about her testimony. She was supposed to testify earlier this morning, but because of a misstep by House prosecutors regarding the rules, they put her on the witness list yesterday afternoon around 3 o'clock, and she wasn't available by rule until this afternoon. That was a huge misstep on their part because they're on the clock. They only have so much time left. They went into this day with about 5 hours left, so we're not sure if being unavailable has to do with them running out of time and there's just not enough time to have her on the stand or what, so we really can't answer that question that you had there. But her testimony being pushed back certainly sets up one of the most controversial days that we've had so far.
Of a controversial trial to begin with.
7 of the Paxton impeachment trial was dominated by a war of words between lawyers. Initially, the word was conspiracy.
They can use this word all day long like they've been, but they cannot establish an agreement between Nate Paul and Ken Paxton.
This entire trial has been...
Yeah, Tones, and like the whole government of Texas is corrupt. So how corrupt does Ken Paxton have to be in order for his party to turn on him and actually impeach him. Wild. But the motherfucker was indicted 5 years ago. I don't know. I've been saying that on this stream for so long. It's probably 6 years ago by now.
Then about Nate Paul and Ken Paxton.
That early fight involved testimony from Andrew Wicker, a former personal aide to Attorney General Ken Paxton. Wicker was asked about deliveries that he made for Paxton and Nate Paul, a political donor.
There were 3 occurrences in which I met
those damn Paul brothers.
Pick up or deliver items. The first was to deliver a manila envelope.
Wicker testified that Paxton a few days earlier reviewed the documents after getting them from Deputy Attorney General Ryan Vassar. He was asked about the envelopes used in the 2 separate deliveries that he made.
So would you be able to tell these senators that it was in any way substantially different than from what you received from Ryan Vassar and delivered to Ken Paxton?
No.
Wicker admitted he still considers Paxton a close friend, but resigned after voicing concern about what he witnessed and being told not to talk to the FBI. But he also testified that he had no hard evidence that his former boss accepted a bribe.
Wait, it's been more than 8 years? Have I been saying that Ken Paxton was indicted 5 years ago since I've been doing the Troll Patrol and I just haven't updated? So I brought it up in like 2020. He was indicted 5 years ago, and I just haven't realized it's been 3 years since I've been talking about how corrupt he is.
That addresses Article 10 of the impeachment, which helped defense attorneys dispute the accusation that Nate Paul paid for a kitchen remodel. A chance encounter at the Omni Hotel in 2020 was also part of Wicker's testimony. He spoke about meeting Paxton and a woman as the couple emerged from an elevator.
She quickly exited the elevator, and that was the only...
And who would want to fuck Ken Paxton? He is ugly.
Did that cause any concern for you or questions?
It did spur some questions.
Yeah, and a lot of people were hoping to have some of those questions answered when Laura Hall was supposed to be on the witness stand today. And, of course, those questions are not going to be asked because, as we mentioned just about 20 minutes ago, we were told that she was present but unavailable. Again, we don't know exactly what
that's true, Tones.
Means. House prosecutors today did introduce a motion asking state senators to make a single all-or-nothing vote. This is kind of an interesting twist, Lexi, because it would merge 2 impeachment votes into one vote dealing with upholding the charge of impeachment and whether or not Paxton can run for office again if any of those impeachment votes are upheld and he's removed from office. It's interesting to merge all those into all or nothing. It seemed like that having them split up gave the senators...
He's going to be the governor of this damn state before the end of the decade.
Let the voters decide if they want him to come back. But that's not going to, a decision on that motion isn't expected to be made until sometime tomorrow. Lexi?
Sure, and Rudy, for our viewers here on a national audience, Laura Olson, the alleged mistress, has she ever spoken out, issued any statements in the midst of all of this happening so far?
Not to us, and she no public statements that I know of.
All right, Fox 7's Rudy.
I love that it's like could be impeached, details on dumpster fire. I think it's an actual dumpster fire they're referring to, not the dumpster fire that is Ken fucking Paxton. You see a picture of a dumpster fire, but it could just be a description for the Paxton trial. All right. Did you like how I did the fake out there? And I'm like, let's talk about impeachment. We talked about the important impeachment first. Let's talk about the other impeachment now. The impeachment that's on everybody's mind. Let's go to Wisconsin, where Wisconsin Republican leaders ask former state Supreme Court justices to review impeachment. The GOP upset that the voters of Wisconsin put a liberal justice on the Supreme Court. So they are going to retaliate. Wisconsin's Republican Assembly leader announced on Wednesday that he's created a panel to investigate the criteria for impeachment as he mulls taking that unprecedented step against a liberal state Supreme Court justice. Republicans are targeting Justice Janet Protasiewicz, over comments she made during her winning campaign about redistricting and nearly $10 million in donations she received from the state Democratic Party. The impeachment criteria panel, being created by the Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, will consist of 3 former Wisconsin Supreme Court justices whom Vos told the Associated Press he would not name until after their work is done. Vos said they were not being paid and he expected their work to be complete in the next few weeks. The move to further investigate possible impeachment against Protasewicz comes the day after Vos and Republicans introduced a bill modeled after the law in Iowa where new maps would be drawn by nonpartisan legislative staff and be approved by the GOP-controlled legislature for 2024. But Governor Tony Evers said he would veto the plan, and advocates criticized it because it gives the legislature the ability to draw maps of if those created by the nonpartisan staff are rejected 2 times. Vos called that argument a red herring. If somehow you think we're going to sneak through a Republican map that has some kind of favor and get Tony Evers' signature on it, I think you're smoking something. Vos said that I'm not high enough for this shit. Vos said that offering the redistricting bill was an off-ramp to impeachment, which he called a last option. They're making it seem like I'm foaming at the mouth to have an impeachment process. I bet you are. Vos said on WISN, where he announced the formation of the impeachment review panel. But to be clear, she has only been on the bench for a few months. And he's wanting to impeach her. So yes, you are indeed not even a few months. I'm sorry. She joined the court on August 1st. So we're like a month and a half barely into her tenure. I would call that foaming at the mouth to impeach her. Republicans have called on Protasewicz to recuse herself from a pair of Democratic-backed redistricting lawsuits seeking to overturn GOP-drawn maps. Republicans argue that she can't fairly hear the cases because she called the current maps unfair and rigged during the campaign. She shouldn't recuse herself because a fucking Republican wouldn't. She's yet to decide on recusal in those cases, but she did recuse from another lawsuit filed this week asking the Wisconsin Supreme Court to block any attempts by the legislature to impeach Protasewicz. It's up to each justice to decide whether to recuse from a case. They're fascist. They are fucking fascists. Okay, I'm gonna quit teasing it now. It is apparently the biggest political corruption scandal in the history of the United States.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry, the claim is just so fucking laughable. These people, they are brazen in their hypocrisy, in craven in their abuse of power. This is Representative Elise Stefanik.
Good morning. Welcome back. I hope you all had a productive August. We certainly did as House Republicans, and we're ready to get back to work this September. Yesterday, as you know, Speaker McCarthy announced House Republicans' intention to pursue an impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden. This is about transparency and answers for the American people, and ultimately accountability for what I believe will uncover the biggest political corruption scandal in our nation's history. For the past 8 months, through the course of our constitutional oversight duties, House Republicans have uncovered that
Jared Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudis. And that doesn't even cover all the other shit that Donald Trump has done. Biggest political corruption scandal in the history. Even if we just take their claims at face value, they are claiming that Joe Biden got a fifth of $20 million. A former president could sign a book deal and make more money than that. These people are fucking idiots. The biggest political corruption scandal in the history of the country, as the former leader of their party is facing 91 criminal charges to try to overturn the election.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Protasewicz. Thank you, Snicks. Protasewicz.
Joe Biden has lied to the American people about his knowledge and involvement in his family's foreign business dealings, and that he has potentially committed multiple impeachable offenses. House Republicans' investigations have uncovered evidence showing Joe Biden repeatedly lied to the American people about his knowledge and involvement with his son's foreign business dealings. When Joe Biden was vice president, he joined dozens of Hunter Biden's business meetings by phone and in person. Detailed banking records show.
Once again, and she's leaving off a very important part of the testimony. That's why they had the testimony behind closed doors. The dude literally said Joe Biden knew nothing about any business deals. Apparently what happened was, like, they would be at a dinner or something, and Hunter's like, "Hey, Dad, say hi to everybody," or some shit like that. That's what the testimony was. Literally said Joe Biden had no knowledge of any of Hunter's business deals.
Show that the Biden family and their business associates received $20 million in payments from foreign actors in places like Russia, China, Ukraine, and Romania, including payments during Joe Biden's time as vice president. More than 150 transactions involving the Biden family and other business associates were flagged as suspicious activity by U.S. banks. And a highly credible FBI source alleges that Joe Biden received $5 million in exchange for pressuring for the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating the Ukrainian natural gas firm that
he was not investigating. They lie, straight up lie. So this is from the New York Times reporter who wrote the story that broke the story about Burisma. This was like back in 2015. He was not trying to protect his son, quite the reverse. Kill my camera here. The then vice president issued his demands for greater anti-corruption measures by the Ukrainian government, despite the possibility that those demands would actually increase, not lessen, the chances that Hunter Biden and Burisma would face legal trouble in Ukraine. Right-wingers will say, he's on camera bragging about firing the prosecutor. Yeah, because he didn't do anything wrong, you dipshit. That's why he's on camera bragging about it. It was stated U.S. and EU policy.
Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. These are allegations of abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption, and they warrant further investigation.
Oh, I bet you're right about that, Flash. That FBI source is probably that Gal Luft dude that was an arms dealer that's on the run right now.
By the House of Representatives, which is why the Speaker has directed the House committees to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The American people deserve transparency, and this impeachment inquiry is an important next step to deliver transparency, facts, and accountability. We are returning, as I said, from very successful and productive August district work periods where members were able to discuss with their constituents our efforts to deliver on our commitment to America, an economy that's strong, a nation that's safe, a future built on freedom, and a government that's accountable. We heard firsthand about the problems facing our communities, including the destructive border crisis that is raging in my home state in New York. Over the August work period, I was proud to lead a bipartisan congressional delegation.
The border crisis raging in her state of New York.
And military leaders from our key allies and partners.
Thousands of miles away from the border.
Thailand, about the looming threat of communist China. Funding our military and bolstering our defense capabilities has never been more critical. Which brings me to this week on the floor. House Republicans will tackle head-on passing our defense appropriations bill to counter communist China, eliminate wasteful woke programs infiltrating our military at the Biden administration's ordering, and supporting our brave service members with the largest pay raise ever.
We'll see.
Today, we are joined by, I'm going to first turn it over to Chairman Jamie Comer for an update on oversight.
Now, if I remember correctly, didn't the military get like the largest pay raise just like a year or two ago? Yeah. Let's keep the Canadians out, like Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson, The Weeknd, Celine Dion, Nickelback. Looking at you, Chad Kroger. Take them back. Listen. The Republicans are being forced to push for impeachment because their fucking voting base is rabid for it. Rabid. Here's the thing. The Democrats are actually asking for it. They want them to impeach Joe Biden. The Democrats think it will be good for them going into 2024.
Jamie Raskin of Maryland, ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. And thank you for, I know you had to run and get a vote in, so thank you for coming back and joining us. I want to talk to you about this because Donald Trump was impeached.
Hey, Jamie, hair grown back, looking good, my man. Have you kicked cancer's ass? I'm glad to see you looking well.
Twice. The first impeachment, ironically enough, was about the same stuff that is being rehashed in order to try to impeach Joe Biden. The same Burisma stuff that most Americans who don't watch Fox know nothing about. They don't know who Hunter Biden even is. What do you make of the fact that it does feel, in a sense, like Republicans are refighting a fight?
Oh, I don't know. I think the Dick story has made people aware of who Hunter Biden is. We know for a fact that you throw some sex and salacious shit in there, America will pay attention. The vast majority of Americans probably only know Hunter Biden by his dick.
Trump wants, because he's obsessed with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden.
Well, that's right. Donald Trump is the one insisting upon the impeachment so he can establish some kind of false moral equivalency between his utterly corrupt reign, which now has led to 91 criminal charges, versus Joe Biden's unblemished record. And you're right, the Ukraine shakedown was all about Donald Trump withholding hundreds of millions of dollars in security and strategic and economic assistance to Ukraine in order to get President Zelensky to falsely assert that there was a criminal corruption probe going on into Joe Biden. And in order to obscure the reality of that shakedown scheme, they concocted all these charges with Rudy Giuliani and Lev Parnas against Biden, which didn't go anywhere. And today you've got Lev Parnas, who basically was the mastermind with Rudy Giuliani of that plot, writing a letter to me and Chairman Comer saying there is absolutely nothing there, call off the wild goose chase. But we have returned to the beginning of these corruption scandals, or at least the ones that have been made public. We haven't really dealt with the emoluments clause scandals where Donald Trump was collecting millions and millions of dollars for himself and his family during his presidency from foreign governments.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Our director put up a list of some of the previous presidents who were impeached. I mean, Andrew Johnson was literally running afoul of, a law in trying to impeach the Secretary of War. Bill Clinton, I think most Americans regarded his impeachment as BS. The Republicans wanted to get him, and they wanted to equalize the Nixon impeachment, and so they did it, and it made him more popular. And then you, of course, have Donald Trump, who did an insurrection.
Venus, good evening.
And in the first one, as you said, tried to shake down Ukraine.
An extortion scheme.
That substance, what you said, because it feels to me like if those screaming people on the other side start bringing up Burisma and all that, it does invite one to say, Okay, now do Trump emoluments clause. Now let's do Jared getting $2 billion from the Saudis. Let's talk about the corruption of the Trump administration. That is the natural recourse. And that is why I'm going to put up a list of some of the skeptical Republicans who are like, yeah, maybe not. It's a long list. It's a long list of people from South Dakota and Arkansas and Montana and Ohio.
That was the first thing I noticed, Venus, when he popped up. I was like, Jamie, you're looking good now. I don't know if he is officially cancer-free, but it looks like he is on the mend and doing quite well. We watched Fetterman yesterday. His reaction to the impeachment. Fetterman looking incredibly good. Glad to see them bouncing back.
Red states and blue states like Pennsylvania. Let me play you what John Fetterman had to say, a little bit more of what he said about
here we go.
Impeachment.
It would be politically enough with the Republicans. Yeah, that's the thing. Your man has what, 3 or 4 indictments now, and you're gonna. So like I said, like sometimes you just gotta call their bullshit. If they're gonna threat, then let's.
The Raskin apparently in remission. Hell yeah.
You have a president who's been indicted not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. He has been found liable for sexual abuse.
I think there is still an indictment or 2 getting ready to drop. I wouldn't doubt that Arizona and possibly even Michigan indict the motherfucker.
Abuse and has 2 impeachments. To me, it sounds like they are just inviting Democrats to start talking about that stuff, as John Fetterman said. Is that what's going to happen in the House?
Well, you know that I'm the ranking Democrat on the Oversight Committee against Mr. Comer, and I can't tell you the number of Democrats who've come up to me today to say, let them do the impeachment. It will be the end of the Republican Party. It will end up in complete defeat and humiliation.
Well, let's not go there, because I've heard it's the end of the Republican Party for virtually my entire adult life, and they keep coming back. I thought after Bush it would be impossible for a Republican to be elected president again, but look what happened.
Humiliation for them. Of course, I've got a little bit too much respect and love for the Constitution just to let them go down that road, with at least pointing out that the constitutional standard is treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, and they don't have evidence of any wrongdoing at all of Joe Biden, and that's not for a lack of evidence. We have thousands and thousands of pages of documents that they've subpoenaed, that they've gotten, dozens of hours of witness interviews that they've gotten, but far from proving their claims, it all disproves their claims. It all shows that nobody's laid a glove on Joe Biden, and he wasn't involved in any of Hunter Biden's business activities. And so that's really the end of the case.
But unfortunately, their voters don't know that and don't care. I tried to tell several dumbass right-wingers today to explain to them, showed them the Intercept story, showed them that, like, him bragging about firing the prosecutor was U.S. and EU policy, like he did nothing wrong there. So what you're saying is bullshit, and they do not care.
But you are making the sharp point that half of the impeachments in American history of presidents have been against Donald Trump. 2 of the 4. And the last one ended up not just with a successful impeachment vote in the House, but a 57-43 vote, the most widespread bipartisan, bicameral renunciation and denunciation of a president's activities. And that, incidentally, is what gives, I think, a lot of impetus to what's going on around the country in terms of trying to block Donald Trump from even getting on the ballot because of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which says if you've engaged in insurrection or rebellion, you can't serve again in office. And so he's already been essentially found to have engaged in insurrection by both the House and the Senate as a legislative fact.
Yeah.
And the reality is, doesn't this impeachment attempt end the moment that Hunter Biden's business partner gets up, puts up his hand, and says Joe Biden had nothing to do with Hunter Biden's business? That is game over. And if that ain't game over, the Senate, which has a slight bit more dignity on the Republican side, just a little bit, they're not going to take this up. So it will be a waste, literally a waste of time, and a televised inquiry that's going to embarrass Republicans. I don't get it. Are people coming up to you on the background and saying,
Well, their voters aren't watching fucking committee hearings.
maybe some that I haven't?
Oh, yeah, a lot of Republicans think that just politically it is lunatic for them to go down this road. But just think for a second what's happening. You've got people who actually witnessed the insurrection that was incited and unleashed by Donald Trump, which he continues to praise to this very day, and says he's going to pardon at least a substantial portion of the insurrectionists. But people who witnessed that, who voted against impeaching the president or against convicting the president, despite all of the powerful evidence that he had incited the insurrection, they voted no on that, but they're going to vote yes to impeach Joe Biden for what? Nobody even knows what the charges are. Nobody can even articulate what high crime and misdemeanor they think he's guilty of.
Bribery, apparently.
It's being in any way related to poor, sad Hunter Biden. Apparently that is his crime. Being his father and not despising him. I mean, according to Fox. It's going to be, what a time to be alive. Thank you, Congress.
And that's another thing is it appears that Hunter Biden actually helps Joe Biden. Like, the more people learn about how compassionate Joe Biden has been towards his son having addiction issues, the more they like him. It humanizes him. And we live in a fucking country where I think it's impossible that at least that somebody doesn't know someone who has had an addiction issue or had it themselves at this point. So yeah, I think it's politically advantageous to Democrats, and that's wild. That's wild. Quick update here on something that's gonna make everybody in this chat pretty happy. It looks like come this time tomorrow, we're gonna be doing the tick 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 until the UAW strikes. Could be midnight tomorrow night. It looks like it's happening. It's on, boys. We striking this fall.
Now, and as we get closer to a looming strike by the United Automakers, the union is giving the big three automakers until tomorrow night when their contract expires to reach a deal. The Michigan-based Anderson Economic Group has said that a strike by the UAW could actually cost car makers, suppliers, and workers over $5 billion.
Good.
President Shawn Fain was on Good Morning America today with the latest in the negotiations. Take a listen.
And we've been very upfront from the beginning with the companies that, we're not picking a target. The target is the big three. And we expect, September 14th is a deadline. We expect to have agreements with all three companies by that date. The workers deserve that. And if they do not have an agreement by that date, then there will be action.
Well, we want to talk more about the possible strike here. Let's bring in ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. Elizabeth, good to see you. We just heard from the UAW president. He says that the focus is it's on the big three, not on a specific target, despite the rumors of a targeted strike. So what can we expect if a deal is not reached by midnight Thursday?
Is no deal between the big three automakers, and they're each talking to the UAW, and it's 146,000 workers that the United Auto Workers Union represents. If there's no deal, there will be a strike. Now, we do not know exactly what that strike could look like. In the past,
Shawn Fain had a much better statement on Jake Tapper the other day. I think everybody needs to see
ask
this.
for their fair share. It's always the end of the world. And, no one, the last 4 years, in general, okay, in the last decade, these companies made $250 billion in profit. In the last 6 months alone, they made $21 billion in profit. In the last 4 years, the price of cars went up 30%. CEO pay went up 40%. No one said a word. No one had any complaints about that. But now, God forbid that workers actually ask for their fair share of equity in the fruits of the labor and the product they produce, and all of a sudden it's the end of the world. So, if the talking heads, the pundits, the companies want to say that, if we strike, it can wreck the economy. It's not that we're going to wreck the economy. We're going to wreck their economy, the economy that only works for the billionaire class. It doesn't work for the working class.
Hear that, analysts?
All right, UAW President Shawn Fain, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it, sir. We did invite the big three.
I want to hear that one more time. That's so fucking beautiful.
That, you know, if we strike, it can wreck the economy. It's not that we're going to wreck the economy. We're going to wreck their economy, the economy that only works for the billionaire class. It doesn't work for the working class.
Hear that, analysts? All right, UAW President Shawn Fain.
Love it. Love this dude. Bring the fire. Do you think they're going to cave tomorrow, or do you think we get a strike? It's the fall of labor strikes, it looks like. Love it. Love it. Love it. Someone should try to unionize Walmart. They fucking suck. I hate Walmart. I hate Walmart so much that I wish somebody would drive an excavator into a Walmart. Florida man drives an excavator into a Walmart.
Few would describe a Walmart center as just a hole in the wall, but that's what they're dealing with at Butler North. Gainesville police officers arrested a man after they say he drove an excavator into the store wall. Look at this picture.
He was proud of himself, too. He thought that was punny.
As just a hole in the wall, but that's what they're dealing with at Butler North. Gainesville police officers arrested a man after they say he drove an excavator into the store wall. Look at this picture. Officers say the suspect stole the excavator and crashed into the Walmart at Butler Plaza, as well as a storage unit on Southwest 40th Boulevard, knocking out power poles along the way. No one was injured in the crash.
I actually believe that Walmart should not be unionized. I believe the government should step in and nationalize it. We subsidize their fucking workforce. We subsidize their goods. The government should step in, take over Walmart, and provide cheap goods to all the citizens. It happened last night, I think. I think I saw it like just as soon as I got off stream. So it could have been like 2 nights ago. I think we should take over Walmart, nationalize Walmart. I think we should have I absolutely believe there should be a store where you can go in and you can buy cheap toilet paper that doesn't have a name brand on it. Goods that aren't, marked up because of the marketing and the packaging. Is that too much to ask? We need to nationalize housing, healthcare, nutrition, education, energy. We need to nationalize energy. Manufacturing, I would take a different approach, not nationalize it. I would make sure that it's socialized. I would create worker co-ops. Factories run as worker co-ops would be far more productive. Some may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I want to believe. I want to believe. Several people thought they had been convinced that aliens were real and that the Mexican government blew the lid off of it. Spoiler alert, no they didn't. The Mexican Congress shown supposed bodies, x-rays of non-human alien corpses at a UFO hearing. The remains of a supposed non-human being were presented on Tuesday to the Mexican Congress by a self-proclaimed UFO expert who has before presented alleged alien discoveries that were later debunked. I can tell you that I've already seen these stupid-looking aliens, and that ain't a fucking alien. The creatures with their tiny bodies, 3-fingered hands, and elongated heads look something like right out of a Hollywood invasion blockbuster movie. That is a picture of it. Looks like it was carved out of something if you ask me, but I don't know. But if UFO researcher Jamie Musin is to be believed, the remains he presented to Mexican lawmakers are the real thing. Some of Musin's prior claims have proven to be false, but earlier this week, the famed journalist and self-proclaimed UFO expert appeared before Mexican lawmakers, where he presented the remains of what he claimed to be 2 ancient, non-human alien corpses. The bodies, he testified, were retrieved in 2017 from Cusco, Peru, before radiocarbon dating revealed them to be up to 1,800 years old. It does kind of look like the Mars Attacks aliens. Mason's wild claims, which he presented without third-party evidence, came during a Tuesday congressional hearing in Mexico about UFOs, now referred to by the U.S. government as UAP, short for Unidentified Anomalous or Aerial Phenomenon. This is the first time extraterrestrial life is presented in such a form, and I think there is a clear demonstration that we are dealing with non-human specimens that are not related to any other species in the world, according to Mawson. Small mummified specimens that Mawson alleges are extraterrestrials were brought out in 2 glass display cases for lawmakers to observe. The hearing was to debate language on UAP and the Aerial Space Protection Law. If the language is approved, Mexico would become the first nation to formally acknowledge the presence of alien life ever existing on Earth. This is according to Reuters news agency. Mason said that the specimens were found fossilized in mines in Peru in a layer of diatomaceous or diatomite, cellite, or Kessliger is naturally occurring soft siliceous silicous sedimentary rock that can be crumbled into a fine white to off-white powder. Oh, I think whoever fucking presented these aliens was doing some kind of white powder indeed.
I was on crack.
Right. Well,
The National Autonomous University of Mexico conducted tests on them, which Masson claimed revealed that more than 30% of the specimen's DNA was unknown, indicating that they are not part of our terrestrial evolution. X-rays of the specimens were also presented during the hearing, which experts testified under oath claimed showed that one specimen had what appeared to be eggs or ovaries, while the other had implants made of rare metals, such as osmium. Well, if it had ovaries, be sure to go ask it what a woman is. Diatomaceous. Boom, diatomaceous. Masson is an investigative journalist who's been researching extraterrestrial phenomenon for decades, but if Masson's latest claims prove to be false, it wouldn't be the first time. The UFO researcher, who appears regularly in Mexican media to present his purported findings, has previously been associated with claims and discoveries that have later been debunked. In 2015, Mawson unveiled the existence of what was alleged to be an alien body unearthed in Nazca, Peru. Though that alien was later debunked, and the mummified corpse was shown to be that of a human child with a head deformity. In fact, such elongated skulls have often been explained by anthropologists as the result of an ancient practice of artificial cranial deformation. Oh, God! They were binding kids' heads? Ooh! Part of what could be an ancient religious ritual, young children had their heads bound in cloth, rope, or even wooden boards. Earlier this year, Mawson had claimed that a photo of a supposed UFO hovering over the FC Juarez soccer stadium showed a ship of non-human origin. I share that the case was analyzed with AI equipment, and everything indicates that we are facing an unidentified anomalous phenomenon. I am not impressed. Maynard is not impressed. Stop telling me that there are aliens. Yes, there is fucking life out there. You do the math on the number of planets that exist in the universe, and the number of planets that exist in the habitable zone. There has to be life somewhere out there. In universes that are far older, galaxies that are far older than ours. But we have no evidence that there is any life form that could survive long enough to make the trip to the edge of our galaxy, let alone from another galaxy. Space is insane. The time it takes to get somewhere in space, literally astronomical. I thought about making the alien story be like the that's your animal story for tonight because it's non-human. That would be wrong of me, wouldn't it? I can't not give you an animal video. Here is a guy politely escorting a brown bear off of a campsite.
Come on, Mike. Come on.
A fearless individual known simply as Mike faced off against a massive black bear at a Lake Harmony, Pennsylvania campsite. The tense standoff unfolded as concerned...
That's not really a face-off. He just he's being very polite about it.
Campers watched in the background. Mike confidently guided the bear away from the campsite, even past chairs and an outside TV, until they reached the gate. During this daring confrontation, the bear swiped Mike's side, leaving him with 2 bloody scars. Undaunted, Mike pointed at the bear and commanded it to leave.
Hey! Hey! No, Mike. Get on. Just move. Just move. That son of a... You guys? Oh my God. You are like... Hey, I have that on video.
He's so proud of himself. Damn.
He barely got you. It's not even...
After successfully persuading the bear to depart, Mike...
He barely got you. Now I can say as a cat owner, you have to watch out because they have like feces on their claws and shit, and you can get an infection. Also, cat scratch fever is a thing apparently. I don't know if there's a bear scratch fever.
Come on, Mike. Come on.
He's smoking. He's smoking. Didn't even drop his cigarette or cigar. I can't tell what it is. It might be like a cigarillo or something.
A fearless individual known simply as Mike faced off against a massive black bear at a Lake Harmony, Pennsylvania campsite. The tense standoff unfolded as concerned campers watched in the background. Mike confidently guided the bear away from the campsite.
I thought they were calling the bear Mike.
Outside TV.
I was like, you're on a first name basis with that bear? What the hell?
Until they reached the gate. During this daring confrontation, the bear swiped Mike's side, leaving him with 2 bloody scars. Undaunted, Mike pointed at the bear and commanded it to leave.
Hey! Hey! No, Mike.
Hey, no, don't do that. This dude's a dog owner, isn't he?
Just move. Just move. That son of a... You guys? Oh my God. You are like... Hey, I have that on video.
He's so proud of himself. I guess he should be. He's got a stogie. Still lit.
After successfully persuading the bear to depart, Mike proudly displayed his battle scars, wearing a victorious grin. Nice work.
Nice work, Mike. And thank you for not harming the bear. Glad you didn't get harmed by the bear. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.